Hi, this is Steve the Explorer, also known as Tartarian Explorer on Instagram. I have my friend Aaron of Etheric Arts here, and I wanted to talk about a journey I had on the Canary Islands recently last year.
Yeah, so I'm really curious about this journey, Steve. You've told me some things here and there, but we haven't really sat down and gone deep yet. It sounds like a very mystical experience. So maybe we can start off by you telling me what inspired you to go to the Canary Islands in the first place.
So I've been in a fasting group on Telegram for over 2 years now, and I have been just really cleaning up my body, really interested in urine therapy, fasting, drinking distilled water, and really focusing on just kind of keep myself clean and pure of processed food, especially cooked food, as much as I can, when it applies. I'm not been perfect, but very interested in that. And so one of the members of the group reached out to me and said, do you want to go on a fasting retreat in the Canary Islands and live in a cave and just level up ourselves together? And he put this whole program together, and it was supposed to be 4 months long. And I read it, and I called the guy, and I talked to him, and I resonated with it, and I was like, yep, I'm doing it.
Wow.
I will say that I decided to do it, and the Hurricane Ian happened here on Pine Island where I'm at now, and that actually gave me unemployment money. So the universe gave me the money to do it too.
Wow.
It was so beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, it really does sound like divine timing. And that's cool. I didn't realize there was a whole program that had been set out. What was it like? What did the program consist of? Or was it more of a self-exploratory situation?
It was like a whole document he made explaining that we'd be living in a cave. If you got to take a dump, you go to the ocean. That's where you to shit in the ocean. Certain things you got to know before you go, like what to bring all this, what kind of weather it's going to be there. He put everything down, like this travel experience,
okay.
And he's like, what kind of things you need. But the whole idea was he wanted people to come, that the one thing was we weren't going to bring food. We were just going to fast. And of course you can eat, but it's not like we're bringing, he wanted people that are like-minded, that were going to be interested in fasting as much as possible. Mm-hmm. He's not saying you have to do that. It was just more of we're going to be fasting as much as we can. Mm-hmm. There was not a strict guideline, hey, if you bring a Twinkie bar, you're going to get kicked out. Mm-hmm. It was just more we're interested in leveling up our bodies. So it's what activities can we do? He even wrote the whole list of things. We can play music, do yoga, do stretching, what kind of things can humans do without food? What activity, it was just a long list. And I'll post the list somewhere in the video or a link to it.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think it would be awesome to see that list, and maybe even the travel plan document. That would be really cool. It could probably inspire other people to do something similar.
Yes. So one thing I will say about this guy, his name is Jason. I immediately watched he ran a hostel. He ran a hostel in Bucharest. He did a Facebook live, he recorded a video for an hour, him explaining how to travel on a budget and how to where to stay, how to get free food at the time, and how to just travel the world. And he did a whole video in Bucharest at the hostel. He lectured to people, and it was a whole 1 hour thing, and it was so beautiful. I resonated. Wow. That's why I was like, man, this guy knows. He does a lot of hitchhiking. So I learned a lot of hitchhiking when I was on this trip too. So.
Yeah, so how many people ended up going? Was it just you and this guy, or were there a couple others?
So we intended to open it to anybody who would be willing in the group. This is an online group of about 70 people total.
Okay.
But it actually was just me, Jason, and one other guy.
Wow.
Who came. His name was David. And while I was there, David completed a 11-day dry fast while I was there. So he had consumed nothing for 11 days, no liquid.
Oh my goodness.
And so it was really powerful to see that,
wow.
To see what happens, your lips are dry, your body, it's obviously not easy, but you're doing it for a spiritual purpose. So it's he's just going to keep on doing it. There's no you don't die. If people say you for 3 days, it proved there so much of the science on food and like nutrition, all that stuff, it proved to me right there. I've seen it. 11 days, he did not die. Like people say 3 days without water, you're going to die, or 7 days or whatever it is.
Wow.
It's not true. So it's just experiential knowledge that I have now gained, which I'm really grateful for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, and it's tough to equate like hearing that. Like for me right now, hearing the story of this man doing an 11-day dry fast, it's tough to believe. Even though I know you're telling the truth and sharing your direct experience of what happened, it's still like, even though I like to be saying that I'm not that programmed, it's still like, wow, how is that possible?
Exactly, right? So Jason, I arrived, and Jason had just completed 18 days of distilled water and his own pee. Like of 18 days, that's all he had. And so he was trust me, like I this is a true thing. Like I got there and he was like, he picked me up and he was so happy and so vibrant. Like it's like, he was like, good to see you, gave me a hug. Like it was like, I never met him in person, and it was just like, so I felt his love, you know? I just like so happy to be there. And he was like, he showed me around, and we like really connected. Like I will never forget this guy. Like he was such a great guy, and he spoke all these languages, and he was so knowledgeable, and he was like just so interesting. And so like he would read books all night instead of sleeping. Like in this same group, we talk about sleeping less and less as a part of like a health protocol.
Okay.
Staying awake is like more healthy for you.
Really?
So he would actually like, he had his little Kindle, he was like staying in his little cave, and instead he didn't sleep much. He slept, yeah, but he would read his book to like 2 or 3, like read Kindle books, like, you know. He was very knowledgeable. Like we would discuss books on like urine therapy and Tartaria stuff, and like he knows about that, and like he's been to St. Petersburg, so he knows about like all the buildings there. But anyway, so yeah, he was just a really interesting guy, like with very much knowledge, like extreme. And he also talked about his addictions in the past, you know, even like his relationships and things he changed and things. We just went really deep into like, there's a lot of things that go into like fasting, you know, and it's not just fasting. There's a lot of things like that come with it, you know, the territory. So.
Can you share a little bit about what is something, one example of something that comes along with fasting other than just not eating?
Well, we talked about like not, you know, abstaining from pornography and that kind of stuff too.
Oh, of course.
That's also a lot to do with it too. Like, and abstaining from like excessive sexual activity, like, you know, maybe like, you know.
So it's like a full approach to purity of the spirit and the body.
Exactly. We were talking about like people who like engage in like regular sexual activity or watch pornography, like they're just not going to reach a certain level of like a spiritual maturity. Like we're not condoning we're not saying like anyone's bad or nothing, you know what I mean? Like his opinion was just basically saying like, if people want to reach a certain level of like evolution in their spirit, they just can't, certain low vibrations or certain like lower chakras energies don't combine with like, they just don't mix, you know what I mean? Once you reach a higher level, you just don't, you're not in that same concern about like, I want to have sex all the time, or I want to just stuff my face all the time. It's just, it's just a different vibe. You know, it's different, like literally a different level of vibration.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're, you know, everyone's where they are, and you can't just change anyone or even change yourself that quickly. You know, it takes like work. You know, it's like, so it's like you're not. And the point is, you're not trying to change another person ever. You change yourself, because if you don't change yourself, then you can't. The reflection is not going to ever change. So it's like the one big thing is like not to be a victim. I learned. Like,
yes.
And this group online and this experience here, I realized. Yeah.
That's very, very important. Yes, yes. Well, I've noticed some of the outward emanations of like your character and your spiritual essence that I feel are related to these practices that you endeavor in. And I've made mention to you about that several times. But in general, one of the main things I've noticed is that in all the time that I've known you and that we've worked together, I've never encountered anyone who has said anything bad about you. Everyone has been very happy about their interactions with you, and it seems like you have a net beneficial, like a beneficial effect on the consciousness of others that are around you.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. And one thing is how I do that is, like, for example, this trip I took the time for myself to do to go away, like in a sense of like kind of like a monk going out retreating. I don't want to retreat from everybody completely, but I did kind of this solitude, you know, this inner work. You have to kind of face yourself, and that's why fasting is such a beneficial thing, because you face your own self, and and you're conquering your demons or your own like levels with your own limits, and all the limits are not all judgment is self-imposed. Like you're the one that's deciding I want better for myself, and you have to like want it, do it, and also no one else is really like, you do it for the benefit of others, but not you can't concern yourself whether or not the reflection, the people are doing whatever they do. The world just goes on, and the people just do their things, and then you just focus on yourself. That's all. So it's really about just taking responsibility for your life. And unfortunately, in this world, I don't think not as much people take responsibility for themselves, their own. Like we're taught not to. It's like we just grow up with this programming, which is not. It's not even like. It's just we're not. Self-responsibility is not a given.
Not a given. It's something that one has to claim it for themselves and earn it, work for it. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not something that somebody can just say they're responsible for themselves. It's actually something that must be lived and demonstrated in order to be real.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's very good.
Going through the middle of the island. The weather is very windy with bouts of rain that come sporadically and then some sunshine. It's very diverse. Definitely colder than the coast for sure. Beautiful town, mountains. So I just recently hiked this trail, which is about 120 kilometers. And now I'm here going to take this trail, which is 22 miles total. And it should take about 5 days. I actually want to do this part too, end up at the beach and Playa de Kings Beach, basically. We are here on the beautiful island of La Gomera. The views just keep getting better and better. Check out this one cave. We're hiking in some sandals. I put my regular Merrell hiking boots out to dry by the marina. I think someone snatched them up, so far so good with these sandals. My feet are a little cold, but I got wool socks for when I go to sleep. And actually I love my feet to breathe. It's a really nice feeling. My toes can breathe. Man, life is beautiful. Perfect weather day. Good morning. Day 2 of camping by the beach. There's soursop, some giant avocados, a whole rack of bananas, mangoes, which I haven't tried here yet.